Hey, Krista, welcome to the Feminine Frequency. So happy to have you
Hi.
here.
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm so excited to get to know you and to be on your show.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to learning about you and your book and all the things. So
We're gonna have fun.
we are on a Friday getting to record this podcast and getting to connect. It's one of my favorite things about podcasting is really getting to learn about other healers, other coaches, other women who are doing really big things in the world and who are sharing their gifts. And I'm excited to dive into the world today of dating and matchmaking and really your philosophy around it.
I love that. I love that that's your mission and that's what you're up to and providing. I love that. Thank you for having me be a part of this with you.
Yeah. So let's start by I'd love to hear what got you into the realm of being a dating coach and a matchmaker. How did your journey bring you there?
Well, I'm still on the journey. It all started probably about like 12 years ago now when I read Timothy Ferriss's book, 4 Hour Work Week. And in the book, the two things I mainly heard were move to Thailand and start an online business. And so I went to Thailand, I moved there, and after a week, I'm like, okay, well, what's my online business? What am I going to be doing? And I'm like, okay, well, I've always been passionate about love and dating relationships. At that time, I was in the middle of completing my degree in communication studies and human relations, especially the dynamic between men and women, communication. And so then I was just like, okay, I'm going to create a website and give advice on dating and relationships and romance and all that. So I started building it and I was so excited and I'm building it and giving advice. And then within 2 years, it grew to like 90,000 visitors a month coming to my website for advice. And then it just kind of evolved from there, Amy, just starting to create programs, helping people to heal from past relationship pain. I've even had clients call me the romantic healer because it is part of the work I do is helping people to get complete and be able to move on from their past relationships. And people don't usually know the actual areas they need to lead themselves through in order to come out the other side with really true forgiveness and openness and hope again. And so that I did that work, and then it evolved more into like helping people get really crystal clear about who it is that they want, their intentionality behind it, what are they really wanting to create. To really what I'm doing today is like this broad spectrum of like helping people get complete, helping them with their dating skills, helping them get that clarity, helping them to feel empowered to take action. And then for some of my exclusive clients, I do matchmaking for. So it's kind of like that, and that's where I'm at now. And who knows where I'm going to be evolving to next.
I love the evolution of all of that and sounds amazing that you were creating valuable content to bring that many people to your space. And I really love what you talked about is coming to that completion after a breakup, because I know
Mm,
that that can be such a sensitive and challenging time for people, heartbreak and releasing old relationships. It can bring up so much wounding from the past, new wounds that that are really hard to navigate through. So
mm,
and I don't feel like we're really equipped with the tools to be able to
no,
navigate through relationships or heavy
no.
emotions like that.
Yeah, not at all. We are not equipped. We're in this new generation of we just seek love, seek fairy tale love, and we commit to someone and it may not be in our best interests, and then our hearts get hurt and then we have to heal. And our culture, I know you said you're in San Diego, so we're in the United States. I'm sure people listen from all over, but especially here in the United States, we're not empowered to um, deal with emotional things as well as you'd hope. A lot of times when people have a breakup, what they do is you maybe you're nice to your friend, oh sorry, but your people naturally encourage you to get over it. We're not equipped to actually be in the pain with someone else, to be able to like hold space or hold that container for someone. People are encouraged to not feel their feelings in our culture, like, oh well, you should just get over it, and why don't you go do this and do that and just find somebody else. People don't realize that having a breakup can be just as traumatic as a 4-car pileup car accident. It can be just
Mm,
as life-changing, just as traumatic, and I personally don't think it's honored as such,
mm.
at that heart level, in our culture.
Yeah, you explain that so well. And I see so many women beating themselves up around and feeling shame around, why do I still feel this way? Why do I still feel hurt from a relationship that happened? Sometimes they're like, oh, it was 2 months ago. I'm like, yeah, it's still, or it was just a short relationship. I shouldn't feel this way. And like making themselves feel so wrong for feeling, for having emotions, for having a heart as a human being, you know?
Oh, isn't that crazy? Like, we have a heart and we
Mhm,
do not listen to our heart, and we don't deal with the heart on its terms and listen to our heart and what it needs. And I feel like that's a huge disconnect. So, part of the work that I do with people, especially when I see that they need to do this deeper work, is to get them to really like acknowledge their heart, listen to their heart, almost like your heart's like your inner child,
mhm,
and to really listen to that and develop that relationship with your heart, because I'm a big believer and advocate that like love is already there in your heart. Like it's
mhm,
so much amazing love is there. But as we're growing up and we were open and vulnerable when we were kids, and then your parents did this and this one did this, and then your heart just starts to shut down. And then we go into a relationship and something happens and but
mhm.
we can actually purposefully and intentionally be so much in communication with our heart and really honor our heart for what it is, that we can conjure up and be present to so much love. And that's what my ultimate vision is for humans, that we're able to conjure up and be present to so much love within ourselves, that we can actually genuinely share that love with someone else instead of seeking that love from someone else.
Mm, so beautiful. Yeah, the power of love. Let's just talk about that for a moment. The frequency of love, the energy of love, no matter where it's directed, whether it's directed to yourself, to others, to the world, to things that really matter to you in society, like the power and the frequency of love is there is nothing else like that. And I think
Nothing.
that's why we all want it so badly. Everyone wants to feel loved and everyone wants to have that companionship. Mhm.
Yeah, they want to feel love. They want that. But I would say it is somewhat of a fairy tale to think you're going to get it from someone else. Um, I get the companionship part, and I feel like as humans, we definitely need that. And I think it's beautiful for us to be able to share that love and be in harmony and in partnership and maybe marriage, and to have that experience. I think it's beautiful. But I do think ultimately, the real power of like real love is really with us, to really truly love ourselves. Until we're truly loving ourselves and honoring ourselves, all parts of ourselves, I feel like it's almost like takes the pressure off of trying to seek it elsewhere. And I just feel like because we do take in a lot of Hollywood movies and we take in a lot from our culture, that the only way to really get it is through a romantic relationship. And that's in that you want the sparks and you want the connection and you want all that. And, so we're inundated with this information thinking like that's where we should be searching. And yes, it's fun. I'm not saying don't. I mean, that's part of my job. People hire me because they want to find love. They want to find that marriage. They want to find that connection. But I feel like it can be a little bit of a distraction when you have that kind of Hollywood level, Disney level expectation on how the dating journey is supposed to go, or how the marriage journey is supposed to go, because it's not gonna, if you that's what you buy into, it's not gonna set you up to actually win in reality. So part of my work is to help people to get really grounded and reality based dating, as opposed to fantasy based dating.
And I know that you have a book called Break the Glass Slipper. Is
Yes.
that, I'd love to hear a little bit more about that. And also like, I love the name and I think it's so perfect for what you're sharing, is like shattering this illusion that we've
Yes.
been programmed to believe around how love and relationships work.
Yes, yes. The glass slipper really represents, I thought it was fitting because Cinderella, that's like like an iconic symbol almost. And let's like break that. But also like this break the glass ceiling, like as women, break the glass ceiling is very powerful. Like, I don't know about you, but like every time there's a powerful woman that breaks some glass ceiling, like I am just overjoyed for her. I am just, you go girl, you get it. I love women being able to like be fully able to like participate on all levels of this earthly existence, without any barriers. And so, and it is like shattering of this glass ceiling. And in the same way, it's like shattering this glass slipper is so powerful because and what the book really talks is about is I really breaking down these very specific fairy tales that single women have bought into and don't even realize that it's affecting how they're choosing their partners, how they're choosing to show up on the dating scene, these fairy tales of how they actually believe themselves. So it's pretty much like, and that's why I'm glad I'm talking to you, Amy, because it really is about breaking down the top 10 mindsets that really get in the way
Mhm.
of single women having that real connection with a quality person that has that long-term potential.
Yeah. Are you open to sharing maybe like a sneak peek of like a couple of those that people might find in the book?
Well, I mean, the main thing is, in the book, I talk a lot about this metaphor of the poisonous apple and that, women bite this poisonous apple. And the poisonous apple that I talk about in the book is really believing that love is going to magically happen without them really having to do much on their part. Like, it's just going to happen. I've talked to so many women in their, even in their 30s, 40s, they're still single. They haven't really met someone that really clicked with them. And they say on the phone with me, they're like, I thought love would have happened by now. I thought it would have just happened. So Disney and Hollywood, they perpetuate this kind of fantasy that love just magically happens to you and you don't really need to do anything about it. But what I advocate for is really women taking ownership and being intentional about what they're wanting to create, instead of depending on the fantasy that it will just magically happen, and really take on being the CEO of their own love lives or the captain of their own ship. And
Mm,
really, you need to be taking action. You can't just wait for something to happen. Yes, things randomly happen in life, but you need to like kind of be a part of things randomly happening in life. So I'm a big advocate for creating momentum. It can even be baby step momentum, having that clarity, getting yourself out there. And part of getting based in reality is just for, even who's listening right now, is just that, like, actually let's get grounded in reality. Like, how many single people are you meeting per month? New single people. What's the number? How many dates are you going on per month? What's the number? I think just numbers sometimes kind of ground things into reality. Like, oh, this is what's so. I haven't met any single people this month and I haven't gone on any dates. That's what's so. And then you can start to be like, well, I would love to be able to go on a date or two a month. I think that would be fun. Then you could start to create, okay, well, and if you want to go on a date or two a month, like, what do you need to shift? Like, what can you put into place? Like, how it's about being intentional and being the leader of your love life.
yes. And I know that there's a lot of women listening on this podcast who feel like they've been doing a lot of the inner work and they have been doing the work, and also they feel like it's still not happening. I
Mm,
also know that there's a lot of resistance to online dating. So I'd love for you. I think this action piece is so important, and I think
mm,
we get to be in our feminine and in our healing and doing the inner work. And there's also a piece of like you're talking about, taking inspired action, of
mm.
really putting yourself out there. And I'm curious to know your thoughts about like the current dating landscape and what that looks like for women who maybe feel resistance to online dating, or who yeah, just feel resistance to taking action.
Yeah. And most of the people I do work with have gone through what you're saying, like women, beautiful women that are doing the self work, that are looking at themselves and growing. I do find that it could easily become a trap for people to get into, like, I'm just going to keep working on myself. There is an aspect where if you do want to really find love, you have to interrupt that. Like, then have your growth be what's going to happen, like when you're on the app, what's going to get triggered for you. What if you're on a date and someone doesn't respond the way you want, or maybe they disappear, like, okay, well then what gets triggered for you, like what's there for you. Then it's like a next level of personal development and work. I feel like when you're in action, then you're able to really do the work. Definitely a big advocate for like getting centered and doing the work and like introspection. I mean, that's like part of in like my whole life, right? But
Mm.
the real growth does happen like on the court. So part of my work as a dating coach is getting my clients actually on the court, because that's when the real coaching and the real personal development can begin, because then you get to see like, oh, wow, like I get so bent out of shape. Like this feeling comes up for me when this happens, or I don't like this. And then you get to know, and then you get to really grow. But it's always going to be kind of hidden from your view until you actually put yourself out there. And in terms of online dating, I get it. You know, so many people are like, I just want to meet someone in real life. I want it to naturally happen. I'm going to push in on that a little bit, because a lot of the fantasy and the desire for the fantasy of meeting someone and having it be romantic and stuff. The online dating thing doesn't really feel romantic. It doesn't feel Disney-like. It doesn't feel Hollywood-like. And a lot of times people just want that random occurrence. So they kind of hope for it, and then they hope love's going to magically happen, but it doesn't. How I relate to online dating, that it's a tool to meet people that you don't know. So there's lots of tools that I help my clients be able to put into place to increase their chances of actually meeting single quality people that are in alignment with what they would want for their future. A lot of times people just think, oh, you just go out to a bar and meet someone. No, you want to be a little more strategic about it, but then also open and go with the flow, but you want to be intentional. But online dating can be really great, especially right now in the middle of the pandemic. Some people are putting their love lives on hold because of that. And some people are jumping full in and going all in on the online dating thing, sorting, um, um, being in communication, getting on phone calls, going out on dates. Why people hate online dating, and I get it. It's so, it's a mess in there. You're having to sort through inauthentic people. You're having to sort through fake profiles. You're having to sort through people that are on there that are just kind of like swiping, but they're not really interested in meeting life. So people also have a fantasy around what online dating is supposed to like. They think they're just supposed to join, put a picture, and then they go out on a date. No, there's a whole strategy and training that you could actually like do for yourself to like learn how to sort through this. But you need to be, as a woman who's, you know, seeking a man, to sort through who are actually the men on here that are wanting to meet in real life. A lot of times women sort for who's good looking and who's this and who's that. I say, let's just put all that stuff aside. Let's just sort initially for like who's actually on here for real. And then you can kind of sort from there. But that takes being in communication. Sometimes it takes kind of practicing texting back and forth. It takes sorting. You are the sorter. And then
Mm,
sometimes people hire me as a matchmaker because they don't want to do all that. They
mhm,
want to just like have someone that's been vetted, and, you know, there's been lots of details that have been crossed off the list that like that this person is a good fit and both sides and blah, blah, blah. Right. But then that
mhm.
takes a lot more investment, you know, to have someone like me that's so diligent about it. And so I think online dating can be a great resource. I think a lot of people, I've even had clients this year meet the love of their lives online. And one of my clients, she's this wealthy millionaire person, and she just went online and found someone. So it's totally doable.
Mhm. Yeah, I think it's important to kind of like break down some of these barriers that have been built. And, for me, I never did online dating. I was married, and then I was, divorced, and I at a relatively young age, and
Oh.
I really did have, and this was pre-COVID and everything, but I did really feel like I was meeting people organically and easily. I wasn't feeling like I didn't have any options, or I
Mhm.
didn't It was hard for me to meet people. And I think that everyone's different and everyone's journey is different and everyone's process is different. And if I were dating now during COVID, I would definitely be using dating apps. That's what I would say is like,
Definitely.
we have to be real with what's happening in the world. And I don't believe in like putting your goals and dreams on pause because of circumstances that are happening in your life. I think that it
Mm,
is really important to know that these are tools and there are strategies. And really, what you're sharing, I think that, you know, especially with the modern dating landscape, obviously, we're going through like things are different now than when our parents met back in the day, right? And one's not better or worse, but it's different. And learning how to navigate that landscape without knowing the tools, without having any strategies, without really understanding it, and then being like, oh, I don't get what's going on or why it's not working, I think is leaving women to a disadvantage. And it doesn't mean
mhm.
there's something wrong with them or
No.
they're broken. It's we're in a new dating landscape. Like things are different than they used to be.
Yeah, they're different and they're also the same. I think there's just what I'm hoping with the book that people get, and I've done and with, my podcast and things like that. There's dating from the fairy tale, and then there's dating from like intentionality and reality. People make this big life decision on who they're going to choose to be with and who's they're going to choose to date based, I would say, mostly on chemistry, the sparks. There's some yummy connection, juicy sexual connection. I'm not saying you can't have that, but people have this expectation that if that isn't there, if the sparks aren't there, if the hearts aren't coming out of your eyes, if you're not feeling it all in your body, if there's not this like knock your socks off feeling, like you're just going to know it when you feel it kind of thing, people have a tendency, because of Hollywood and Disney, they think that that's what you're actually supposed to be feeling. And when that doesn't happen, people are like, oh, thanks. It was good getting to know you. We're not a good fit. Bye.
Hmm.
What I'm inviting people to consider is that dating doesn't, basing it purely on the fairy tale and the chemistry and all that could actually like be shooting yourself in the foot. And to actually like allow more time of a connection to evolve over time, allow chemistry to evolve over time, because you're pretty much meeting a stranger and you don't jump into a best friend relationship. When you meet some friend, you're like, oh my gosh, she's cool, and like let's spend all our time together and let's be all up in each other's grill. No, you take time to actually get to know a friend and distinguish if they're going to be a good friend. But for some reason, we have this fairy tale that like we're just supposed to jump into something like really quick with a man.
Hmm.
And so I invite people to be more grounded in reality and allow things to take slow. If there's someone nice, they're showing indicators of being someone in alignment with what you're envisioning for your future, like, and they're pursuing you, see how it can evolve. Let go of the fairy tale and like just really allow a genuine connection to happen over time, and take the pressure on yourself that you have to know if you're going to marry someone on the first date. You're not going to know.
Yes. Thank you. Let's go into that. Let's go into that. Like that's so huge because I think that women try and control and plan and they're like, is he my person? Is it worth spending more time with him? Like, how would you know that on a first date? Like, I know that there are people who say they knew when they first met, and like, I know that it
Okay.
happens.
1%.
And yeah, it's like, okay, can you really decide that someone's going to be your life partner, companion, person you spend the most time and energy with? Can you decide that in one day? And like, let's talk about the control around having to know that.
Yeah. I mean, it's control, and it's also it's this expectation, and that's what I'm trying to like bring to people's attention. We have this expectation that you're supposed to know. In the movies they just know, in Disney movies they just know. So that's what that's I'm supposed to just know. The thing, the control part is like, women need to learn how to control themselves and not try to control the man in the situation.
Mhm.
and to allow the men the space to actually show up and see if he pursues her and if he's interested in her. I'm telling you, if a man is interested, he's going to reach out. If he's not, he's not. But women are not comfortable with that.
Mm-hmm.
Women want to control, like, the that it gets locked down quick, it goes into a secure committed relationship right away because that's where she feels most safe. And I don't blame her for wanting to feel safe and feel that comfort, but you need to be okay with it evolving over time to get to that place so that a man can powerfully choose you
Mm-hmm.
and not you just kind of trying to lock down something. Because, men objectify women in their bodies, but we objectify them with our fantasies that we put on men. And
Mm.
that really that has women not see they're not seeing in reality, like how a man's showing up. They're just showing up in the fantasy of it all instead of the reality.
Mhm. Yeah. I think there are so many expectations and so much pressure and a lot of the programming like you're talking about that really creates, even when I look at it energetically, it's like when we show up trying to like grasp or trying to lock it down, as you
Yeah.
said, like that's not really sexy romantic energy that's like appealing and juicy and attractive. It's like it doesn't feel that way to a man. I'm not a man, but I would imagine. And I've had, and then vice versa. You can
Yeah.
feel it if you've ever been in an experience where you're on a date or where you're in conversation with someone and you can feel their energy, like they just want
Mhm.
more from you.
Yeah,
It's
it
like,
doesn't feel
yeah.
good. Yeah. And you know why I think the main reason why women are wanting to lock it down so quick, one, because they don't want to feel the uncomfortability of not knowing whether someone's interested or not. They don't like that feeling. But two, I do find that women give the benefit of being with someone way quicker than maybe they should. And because, like, let's say they maybe have sex with someone, um, before maybe the container of exclusivity is established, that does something to many, many women. I would say about 95% of women get really emotionally attached. And so when a woman provides sex to a man before he's even wanted to create the container of exclusivity, a woman will try to lock it down because she doesn't feel comfortable that there's sex happening and there isn't the container of commitment. So she'll do something like that and then put this pressure on to have the commitment. But what I recommend is then why don't you just wait for the container to feel safe for you before you provide that? And I get everyone has needs and everyone wants to do this, but if you're really on the path and you really want to know if someone's a good fit, see sex as a benefit that you actually contribute to someone, and you don't need to provide all these benefits of being with you. And it's not just sex, it's just your presence, your femininity before someone's maybe deserved it. Like,
Hmm.
allow someone to request and pursue and show up for you before give yourself in this way, because then it creates a tension. It
Hmm.
creates an instability. Some women actually don't get emotionally attached after sex, and I'm like, God bless. I'm like, you go, girl.
Hmm.
Like, but not. I would say most of the women I work with are not built that way. They just can't. They get so attached so quick, and so I think the journey right now in this dating scene for women in this age is to really honor themselves and what they're willing to provide before a relationship is even established, and to really honor their bodies, honor their emotions, and really have learn how to create those boundaries to themselves in a way that's not mean. It's not like pushing a guy away. You're just like, you have some standards for yourself. You're honoring you. And that's what I'm really wanting to provide for women, is to learn how to really honor and love themselves and their bodies.
Mm. So beautiful. It's such a shift. It's a big shift. And chemistry wise, biologically, when we look at what happens with female hormones when we have sex with someone, there is an attachment that happens. This isn't just like a like you're so needy or whatever. It's like, it really is a physical shift that happens for women, and it doesn't happen for men in the same way.
Mm-mm.
And I really love this distinction of creating the container to, really shift. Really, when we understand how the body works and how the mind works, and what happens when that chemistry comes in, it can put those blinders on, and it can put this fantasy like, oh, he's so into me, and like we're such a good fit, and we connect so well. And it's like, yeah, you just had sex, duh. I mean, sex is sex. I mean, there is bad sex too, but you're probably going to feel really connected to them. And if you can really be in ownership and responsibility for knowing that that's part of our chemistry, and then setting the container and being patient, and um yeah, just being respectful and honoring of what you actually want. Because if you actually want a long-term relationship, then like the man will wait for you, and be patient with you for that. So I
Mhm.
really love that advice and support. And I was talking to a client yesterday, and we really got down to this understanding and this fear of settling for someone because they're afraid of being alone. So it's like,
I
oh, well, I'm
know.
not going to find anyone as nice
I
as this
know.
person, or I'm not going to have everything that I want. So this is good.
I
So,
know.
I'm curious about that piece of this fear of being alone that so many women have, or fear that it's never going to happen for them, and how that plays into how they're selecting partners.
Yeah, it does. It does play in. That's like it's a deep rooted like self-love issue, like
Mhm.
from like a foundational like um and which you probably know. Um, I also think it's like lack of dating skills and ability to attract quality partners, and to know how to sort for them, and to know how to really create opportunities for yourself to meet people. Because that's the thing. A lot of times people don't, they they base they create beliefs about themselves on limited pieces of data. Like if they've only gone out on one date this past year, it's really easy for people to think, I don't have a lot of options, so I'm going to have to settle. But I like to like really look at the data from high level and be like, okay, so what did you do to get that one date? Like, how did you manifest that one date? Like, what was actually happening? And most of the time, Amy, women are not taking ownership of like being taking action in their loves lives, creating that and creating those connections and attracting and connecting. And what I teach my clients is to really like, learn how to find potential partners, right? Like to find a woman with options never has to settle, but your job
Mm,
is to create the options.
mhm,
Like you never have to settle, but I want you to experience having options. But having options means you need to put yourself out there, maybe get on the apps, maybe be a part of a group or two, expand your social circle, communicate openness, communicate approachability, just connect, and just and then
mhm,
from there, then you get to see who pursues you.
mhm.
And I'm all
Yeah.
about independent women here. Like I'm all about us like creating whatever we want. But over all these years doing this, I'm telling you, if a man's not pursuing you, it's not worth investing your time in,
Mhm.
especially if you're
I
committed, to
Yeah.
having that.
Yeah, totally agree. Well, I love everything that you've shared today. I love how powerful and how clear just your perspective on dating.
Mm.
And I think it's refreshing, and I think we need more of this. So, for the women who want to learn more from you and who want to read your book, why don't you share where they can find you and find your book?
Aw, thank you. Well, you can go to my website. My website is kristabeck.com, and my name's spelled a little differently. It doesn't have an H in it, and it's spelled Crista. So it's Crista Beck, kristabeck.com. They can come to my website if they want to get the book on Amazon or Audible. I also have a dating IQ quiz on there that I think maybe some of your listeners may enjoy. It's like a way for you to know what your dating IQ is, to see like how you can improve it. And it's a really great reflection piece, and they can take that on the site as well. And if they want to connect with me, I would love that.
Amazing. Thank you. We'll include all of the links in the show notes. Thank you again for your time and your wisdom and for sharing your energy with us. And I look forward to hearing from everyone who listened to this episode and who checks out your book. And thanks again for being here.
Yeah, it was so nice to be with you too. And just a quick reflection back to you. Every person that interviews me brings out different parts of me, and we just met, and I just want you to know, like, what I'm seeing in you is this
Mm,
very soulful, beautiful presence, that you have like deeper connection to like subtle energies of things, and you have a depth of knowledge that's beyond like books and understanding. And is really nice to be in someone of your caliber and your presence. So thank
mm,
you so much for just not just being on your show, but just blessing me with your presence.
Thank you. I am receiving that so lovingly. Thanks, sister. And
You're
thanks for being
welcome.
here.
You're welcome.
Mm.